Computer.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the November podcast. Once again, we have an amazing guest. I can't believe the wonderful variety of talented people that we have in the laughter yoga community. And today's guest is Kim Goodman. Kim has been a friend of mine. All will be divulged in the next 30 minutes for quite some time. And we're going to find out a little bit more about who she is and the work that she has done, which I know personally has been absolutely amazing. So, Kim, thank you and welcome. My very first question to all of our guests is tell me about Kim Goodman before laughter yoga came into their world.
Well, g'day there, Merv, and hello everybody that may choose to listen and watch this. Yes, I have known Merv we have known each other for a long, long time. Interestingly, we're both exactly the same age, and I think that's the same age as Madan. I think Madan's birthday's 2 days before mine, but that's beside the point.
Well,
Um,
hang on, if I could interject, if we're the same age, clearly one of us has had a harder life. All right, I'll just leave it
oh,
at
it
that.
makes a difference when you've got hair, Merv.
Oh, no. No, cut, no, keep rolling, keep rolling. All right.
I say the same thing to Madan when we happen to be speaking. But anyway, look, I mean, seriously now, I'm a hairdresser and I started hairdressing in 1974. So anyone who's good at doing maths will know that that adds up to 51 years. And I can't believe I still really enjoy it, but now we only work 3 mornings per week, so that's really good. But so prior to doing laughter yoga, I'm a Heal Your Life teacher, which is run on the philosophy of Louise Hay, if anyone
Oh,
out
yes.
there knows of that.
Yep.
So I've been running her workshops. I was running them regularly up until um, COVID hit, and I have not run one since. I can say the same for running laughter trainings. I haven't done one of those since COVID either. So that was I enjoyed doing the Heal Your Life work. Was great for helping me in my own life, as well as being able to help others. So that was really good. Um, 2 or 3 years after I did that, I became a Tai Chi teacher. And that things that happen to me happen out of the blue. If an opportunity presents, I'll think, yeah, we'll give it a go because the best way they say to learn about something is to teach it. So I had never done Tai Chi. I just knew I always wanted to. The opportunity came up. So I've been a Tai Chi teacher for a local health agency here in Myrtleford for 20 years, volunteering. They pay for all my training, and I have a great time teaching for 1 hour a week, which I love. In fact, Merv, you may remember way back in Adelaide at one of the early laughter conferences, I did laughing Tai Chi,
You did indeed. You did indeed.
which I think was quite popular at the time. And I do Tai Chi most mornings, and would you believe I've been doing laughing Tai Chi ever since that conference in Adelaide? So there's something that's a bit different. What else? I used to do magic shows. I haven't done a magic show since my children left primary school, but I did magic shows for kids' parties, for school fetes, for community events. Again, I never charged. I just did it for the fun of it and for stepping outside the comfort zone. That's
The,
what.
the box.
Yes, yes. And it's incredible because when you do, you think, oh my God, what I was thinking it was going to be was so much easier. Well, most of the time was so much easier than you can work it up to be a lot more in your mind than it actually is. What else? I used to run a women's wellness network, and that was getting together once a month. We would hold events and all to do with women's health. So anything that affects women's health, I would find a guest speaker. We'd have breakfasts at a cafe in Myrtleford that held about 45, 50 people. And that was fantastic. That's where I learned how to MC. Well, actually, I used to do a lot of hairdressing shows back in the early day, and I learned how to MC at those. Um, Oh, my grandson's about to poke his head in. Wave to everybody, Marley. It's like they've been out in the rain. They went for a walk and they're saturated. So go and get some dry clothes on. No. No, okay. Well, just press on regardless. Um, Look, other things that I were involved with before laughter yoga was for 20 or more years, I um, produced, I suppose you could say, and emceed Myrtleford's Christmas carols every year. That was interesting because I wasn't overly into Christmas carols. It's just that there was no one to run it, and it was something our community needed. And we used to have a lot of fun. I used to get kids involved and get them to introduce the next performer, tell one-liners. Get off you go. Come on, take him. So you might be gathering. I am at my daughter's house. We live probably 15 metres apart. We're in the middle of the country, but this little house that the kids live in, we built to be a temporary dwelling while we built our house next door. Now, it took us 7 or 8 years to build our house. Great house, beautiful ambience. You've been in it, Merv.
Yep, I have.
Yep. So, um, never ever believed that 30 odd years later, this little house would still be lived in, but it's since been renovated a few times. Our lovely, beautiful English son-in-law almost burnt it to the ground a few months ago. Oh no, I'm exaggerating. There was lots of smoke and flame damage, but smoke damage, and it took us about 4 months to get it back to what it is now. So they lived with us for 4 months earlier in the year. The baby was 3 weeks old at the time. So it just makes you realize how prepared you've got to be in life for whatever pops up. Um, I actually started doing my laughter yoga after the fires in '09. When I say fires in '09, you may have all remember Black Saturday. Uh,
Yes.
yes, well, the fires came through this area. We chose to stay to defend. Um, it was I didn't realize how scary it would actually be, but luckily the fire didn't come through us. It went all around us, and it spent 3 days doing so. For 3 days, we were on edge. We lost neighbours up the road. They were clients at work. They helped. He was a builder. He helped build our house. Um, so it was pretty devastating for our community to lose those people. Several people we know lost their homes. I think in all in this area there was about 23 homes lost. Luckily, only 2 lives, but that was too many.
Yep.
But that's when I decided to go and learn how to do laughter yoga. I'd already experienced it once previously, and Howard Langmead, Merv, I remember his name. I don't know if any of you out there know of Howard. He's an Anglican priest from Melbourne who was a laughter yoga teacher. So
Yep.
he, through the Women's Wellness Network, we'd heard about this laughter yoga. So he came from Melbourne and ran us all through a session. And I'm there in the middle of that session thinking, this is not funny. This is not at all funny. Yes, I'm doing this stuff and I'm faking my laughter. And all of a sudden, I heard Howard's voice say, now, we're not trying to be funny here. We're trying to have fun. This is not about your thinking mind. It's about your allowing yourself to be creative and expressive. And that's when I thought, okay, just do it. And I found it was great. By the end of the session, I was completely won over. Um, so, of course, when the fires happened, I thought, right, that's how I can help my community. So I went off. Would you believe the following weekend coming, Laughter Clubs Victoria, Bron Roberts and Philippa Chellis were running laughter yoga training. So I got in touch with the local paper and said, I'm starting a laughter club, not this weekend, the weekend after. So I went and trained, and then I did my training, and I thought, oh my God, what have I let myself in for? And then I thought, Kim, you've been doing this all your life, stepping outside your comfort zone. This is no different. So I rang all these people I knew and said, please come, because I at least wanted some people there. Well, it was a real success, which meant it was great for my confidence. Um, and the Laughter Club's been going ever since '09. So that's fantastic. I can't claim like Philippa Chalice does that our group has never missed one because we miss them every now and then if we haven't got a laughter leader that day. Like my husband John trained as a laughter leader too, sort of under sufferance. He does it. He says, I do it to support you. And I said, yes, but you also do it because you enjoy it, because he has a great time. And he does it a more blokey way than me. He does pirate laughter and leg laughter and walk the plank laughter and cut the grass. As soon as he says, well, it's springtime, the sun's shining, it's been raining, and the grass, everybody starts laughing before we even start because that's his favourite laughter yoga exercise.
So, Kim, you've hit on something really, really important there, and that is that every laughter leader has their own style.
Yes.
All right. So we follow the process of laughing and clapping and
Yes.
breathing and having a good time and having fun and not, not being funny, but being fun and getting out of our heads and all that sort of stuff. So it's really important that people do develop their own style, and that's what people actually get drawn to. So if you had to use two or three words to describe your style, you've already said that John's is a bit blokey.
Yeah.
What's your style?
My style, I'm tempted to say pretty out there, but I'm not so out there that I act crazy. Not- I have to say, some laughter leaders really dress up and use props and all that. That's just not me. So I find I'm very spontaneous.
Ah,
So whatever I see any people in the group doing, that sometimes I'll think, oh, good, good on you, because that will make me think of the next laughter exercise. Very rarely do I have a list that I want to work through. On the odd occasion that I do a paid gig, depending on who they are and what group they are, I will have usually been in touch with their manager and ask what are the biggest stresses that your workplace have, and I'll have a little list in the back of my mind of ones that I want to touch on. But more often than not, I just go with the flow, wing it a lot of the time. And even with the breathing exercises that, and I love to do them because I find people love the breathing exercises. I'll often find if someone's relaying a story where they've had a big fright, I'll say, okay, let's do big fright breathing, big fright and everything's okay.
so
So,
you talk about being spontaneous, and it sounds as though you live your life in that spontaneous moment that everything that happens, you're in there and you're doing something. There's an amazing saying that says, give a busy person a job and it will get done. How do you manage to do all of the things that you've said all at once without actually burning out or collapsing like a house of cards?
most of the things I do because I really love and enjoy. And like, for instance, Tai Chi, um, the Heal Your Life work, and laughter yoga, they all blend and they all come from the same background and philosophy in a way.
They do.
Even though one's Chinese and you can say laughter yoga is Indian, um, they lend themselves to anything, anywhere. One of the other things I've been involved with for many, many years is, and I never thought I'd be on a cemetery trust. And I'm chair of our cemetery trust at the moment. And I never, I did that because they didn't have any women, and I joined back when my kids were at primary school. And this woman came up and she said, Kim, would you come on the cemetery trust? They're all old blokes. We need some young. Well, I said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. Because they only met quarterly. So I thought, oh, yeah, I can manage that. Well, it was tough going for a while because these blokes were so set in their ways. But they were they'd known each other for years. They'd grown up in this small town of Myrtleford. It was like being back. They were like school kids. They used to tease and have, it was one of the most fun meetings I would ever go to. But the places that's led over the years has been incredible. And so anyone there who's listening, I recommend joining a cemetery trust.
As one of the committee people, as one of the committee people.
As one of the committee people. Um, but anyway, that's beside the point. But it's just because I am spontaneous. That's probably as why I've done all these different things. But they're all things that I've enjoyed. The Women's Wellness Network, when COVID struck, I chose not to get that started again because it was running on my coattails. Um, I was coming up with all the ideas, and everyone's going, "Yeah, that's great, that's great." I'd be the one that would have to find the guest speakers because they'd say, "Yeah, but you do it so well. None of us want to do it." So that makes it. It started to get. I started to feel the weight of that. All
Yep.
those people on my coattails. So when COVID hit, that was a great chance to stop that. Um, I haven't started up the Heal Your Life workshops again. That's dealing with a lot of people's stuff. Um, it was wonderful, but it you try not to take stuff on. But laughter yoga, you're helping people, but it's fun. And it's a different, like you think of all the stuff we all deal with and all the stuff that people deal with, learning to laugh about it, and it's so uplifting. And so that's where I don't do many paid gigs, but I do the online once a week, and then we do every Saturday, most Saturdays. And our group, for a little town like Myrtleford, we've got about a dozen people that come regularly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, we two of our older members are about to turn 80. One of the 80-year-olds comes from Wodonga. He and his wife. He has an acquired brain injury from he had a heart attack 2 or 3 years ago and lacked some oxygen.
Yep.
So he, but he actually, Merv, was trained by you as a laughter leader several years ago.
What was their name?
Ian, well, his wife is Kathleen Howard, so I presume I don't know if he's Howard as well, because some people
Yep.
don't have, they're a married couple. And Kathleen's an author. She wrote this amazing book called Just a Slap, and it's about childhood violence that she experienced at home.
Oh, oh.
And when I first read the bio about this book and her, I thought, oh my God, because it resonated so strongly with me because my childhood had a lot of ups and downs with very unhappy parents, and so it wasn't a happy upbringing. I was loved and looked after, which is just like Kathleen's book. Um, but anyway, actually, I've got two authors. I've got another one who's in my Zoom group, and she's written 3 novels, and they're fantastic. So, yay, you know.
I I did a workshop online, not a workshop, a laughter session, I should say, online into the United States just a matter of days ago. And it was for a friend, a laughter yoga friend that I trained some time ago, who does extensive travel. And she works with a lot of ladies who have been abused in some way.
Yeah,
And she just shared with me, I came on because it was her birthday and it was so much fun. And we are doing laughter showers and all this, what I would say, just fun laughter exercise, nothing too deep and too meaningful. And we
yeah,
just had so much fun. And she sent me a very touching message later on. She said one of the ladies there had not met her for the first time. And this was her first meeting, but to have me come online and then do what I did with the group, she said it actually assisted her healing.
Yeah.
This is a birthday party for 15 minutes the other side of the world, and I
Yeah.
help someone heal. I think we, I think we overlook the impact that we can have on just one person.
Oh,
And
yeah.
someone even said the other day, my laughter club's been going, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years. I lost track of the time over COVID. And they said, but why do you do it? You only get sort of 6 to 10 people per week. I said, it's not about the 6 to 10 people, it's about the one person that really needs what we have to do. And when you do that, it's a gift to them. I also know that you work in aged care residential homes. Can you give us a little bit of a story and insight about that work that you do?
Well, I've um, prior to COVID, I used to do weekly in an aged care facility. Um, and now I go and I do once a month, sometimes every second week. It just depends what's doing. But what the most amazing thing I find there, it doesn't matter whether they've got dementia or full cognitive ability, they don't forget how to laugh if they've got
Mm.
dementia. Generally, it depends
Yep.
how advanced it is, of course. But I just find one of the first sessions I ever did was there was a man totally, he looked to be away with the birds. I go round each and every person doing the laughter exercise. I'd come to him, take his hand, he'd open his eyes, we'd laugh. The connection was incredible. And he would, at the end of the session, he'd be sitting up, his eyes would be bright, and he looked like he was with it. Now, he wasn't really, but I bumped into his daughter one day and she said, Kim, I visited Dad not long after you'd finished your laughter session, and he was amazing. She said, I was able to connect with him, which I can't normally do. So I said, why don't you come along to the next session and sit with him, which she did. And at the end of the session, she was in tears and she said, I didn't think I'd ever connect with Dad ever again. And she said, every time we laughed and looked at each other, she said, I felt like he knew me. We were that connection. And hearing stories like that, I find that doing an aged care facility on a regular basis, I find it's almost more rewarding in
Ah.
other ways because you get to see the difference. The staff will say, oh, when you've been, it's such an easier day with the residents. They're more settled, they're happier. Um, Sometimes you'll get, there's one lady at the moment, and her favourite word is bullshit. Now she's got dementia. I'll start talking about something. She goes, oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. She does it like this. So I say, okay, we're going to do our bullshit laughing. And everyone's laughing and saying bullshit and flapping around. Well, the more they swear and the more the more they laugh. So,
What
so
a,
again,
what
it's
a,
being an opportunist. Whatever
yeah.
comes up, sometimes it was like when I used to do magic. If something comes up, you've just got to embrace it and go with it, not freak out.
And the other thing is trust yourself as well too. And the more you do this, the more you have a belief that no, this is going to work regardless of the situation, the circumstance, and whatever comes up, we will plow through it and it will be great. You glossed over it, but I want to go back to it just ever so briefly. The absolute trauma that it was
Oh, yeah.
experienced with Black Saturday.
Fire.
You said, "Oh, we had a fire, we lost some people."
Yeah.
I'm well aware that the trauma is so much more than that and runs deep within the community. How on earth did you ever find the courage and then get the people on board to help them heal with laughter after that trauma?
Well, I look, that trauma, I've realized how trauma never really leaves people because
No, no.
too much thinking about Black Saturday and that feeling comes back. And I know every summer, even now, I'm saying, now let's prepare for summer, let's prepare for summer, blah, blah, blah. So it really does embed itself. So with the people in our community, when I did my training, as I said, I rang everybody. I especially rang people who I knew that had really been affected by the fires, lost their homes.
Oh, wow.
Even I even invited the kids of the people who'd passed away. Now they declined to come, but several people that were directly impacted did. And one lady said to me, I didn't think I'd ever be able to draw a deep breath again.
Wow.
At the end, like just be able to go and let it go. So just at the end of that session, she said, look, I enjoyed it, but I feel like I've been able to breathe again. So that had got
Mm.
loosened her up. Um, Other people that came were people that had not, well, yeah, been impacted, but like even people that helped were impacted. Now we helped others. We weren't directly impacted.
Yeah.
We helped other people. And um, like we spent several days going through ashes of homes and looking for anything that might have still been of value, or I actually found someone's diamond ring, engagement ring. It had melted,
Yeah.
but she still had it. And
Yeah.
that was just, that's where, like that, we knew the bed had been here, and that's where the bedside table would have been. And I was just scratching through the ashes, and here was this melted ring. Um, I found, and it's amazing at the time, like that was very significant. But I also found what had been a jar of marbles, and they'd all melted together,
Yeah.
a lot of them. They were beautiful. Like once you washed all the ash off, it was really quite beautiful. Like, so maybe because I was in the state of mind, it wasn't my stuff. So it was a bit easier for me to wash it off and say, look, I know this is not a jar of marbles anymore, but look, it's really beautiful. Now, the little boy who's belonged to them, he just said, no, they're not marbles. And I just put them aside for a while. And a few months later, his mum said, do you still have those marbles? And I said, yeah, I couldn't throw them out. And she was really grateful to have them. And the little boy had, well, not moved, well, it was a few months later, right?
Yeah.
So thinking differently, he is now quite grown up, but he's still got those marbles. And they mean a lot because they lost everything.
Yep.
He had his marbles. Now they'd changed form, but they look beautiful. Like the way they'd melted and the colours. And so because I remember saying to this kid, you know, every time something awful happens, often something good will come from it. And look at these. And that's when he said, I don't want them. And I felt a little bit deflated, but I thought, well, they're not mine. Give it time. But but yeah, look, I found the laughter for me, and I'll just talk personally, it helped me so much with not moving on, but dealing with the trauma.
Yep.
And I got really annoyed with, and this might sound awful but I got quite annoyed with some of the professionals who kept saying, oh, you move through these sessions and you've just blah, 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 blah. And we were at the Savoy Club, big, hold 200 or 300 people, and this was a 6 months down the track. And he was saying, expect to go through this yet and
Yep.
yet and yet. And I sat up the back because I was late arriving and I could see everyone sitting. By the end of his talk, they'd all gone
Mm.
like that. And I started to feel prickly and I started to went up and I sat up and I thought, bugger you. Fair enough. He was warning us what was still to come, but he
Sure.
was offering nothing about how to feel better about it. So, questions at the end, and I said, don't you think most of us here need to get a bit of joy back into our lives?
Mhm.
And he said, oh, yeah, well, yes, that stands to reason, And I said, I'm a laughter yoga teacher, and laughter yoga is so valuable for dealing with trauma and helping lift people and change their attitude to be more positive. And he sort of cut me off a bit and he said, well, yes, I encourage you all to join some clubs and maybe join a sporting club, and yes, but it wasn't his cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it
Yeah.
because his job was to tell people what to expect. But when I saw everybody's body language going like this, And then I started talking about laughter yoga. Now, a lot of people probably think it's a whole heap of hogwash, and you could see people laughing. Oh, yeah, that's that fake laughter. And I said, oh, yeah, one of the sayings is you fake it till you make it. And you do that, and everyone laughs along with you. But I don't know how many people chose to come to laughter yoga from that particular section. But it just made me realize at the time how far we still had to go to get um, the more medical side and psych people to take it a little bit more seriously, like take laughing seriously. What?
Yeah.
I think they're starting to, and Merv, that's a lot of it we can thank you for because you're so good with your words. You so good the way you put it out there. Um, so I think we all us laughter yogis have got a lot to thank you for. Um, and the early pioneers in our country, and I'm not going to name them, but you would know of them.
Yep.
Thinking of naming, when I first met you, you walked around the corner at Federation Square
Oh, yes,
and you had Madan beside you.
I did.
And I was there because when we did our laughter leader training with Laughter Clubs Victoria, they insisted that you've got to come back and help facilitate 2 or 3 times
Yep.
to get your confidence up. Well, because we live a 3.5 hour drive from Melbourne, it's a real effort to get to Melbourne to do that. But that particular day I'd gone and I did do a little bit of facilitating, just a little bit. But it was great because I got to meet you and I got to meet Madan, and he was just such a down to earth, very jolly
Yep.
Indian. And then I met him again at that conference where, excuse me, where I did the laughter Tai Chi. And I think Sebastian was there, Sebastian Gendry.
And I believe the 60 Minutes crew was there as well.
They were. That's right. And I suggested to whoever that fellow was, whom I'd never met before. No, I'd never watched 60 Minutes. I suggested that we might start a laughter party, a political laughter party. And never did get round to it, did we?
I think we've got more important things, Kim, than to go into
Oh
politics.
my God, so do I. We can laugh about politics. It's a great thing to laugh about.
We try to keep these podcasts to 30 minutes ish. Our 30 minutes is up. I knew we'd have no trouble with you, Kim, getting some stories out. And you mentioned the time that you met Madan and me, but more importantly, this was when we met you. You've been an absolute joy to everybody who's ever come across you and had an experience with you. Everyone knows you, even internationally, people know Kim Goodman, that curly-haired lady from from Australia. So, Kim, thank you for everything that you've done, and most importantly, still the work that you've got to do. I don't believe you're winding down anytime soon. So, keep the laughter going, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for saying yes to this podcast. And we wish you every happiness and every joy into the future.
Good on you, Merv. Thanks so much. And well done. And hello, goodbye to everyone.
Hello, goodbye. Thanks, Kim. Bye bye.
Bye.